Hello and welcome to another of our conversations after hours here at eConnect, one of our Power of 50 events here at Copperberg. The idea of the Power of 50 events is we bring together 50, as hence the name, of the key leaders in the industry. We bring together a select group of technology and solution providers to share their experience as well. And it's a day that's based around conversation. It's a day where we bring people together to share great ideas. And that's what we're going to be doing for a moment, for the next 5 minutes, as we run through some of those ideas. I'm going to draw out of my guest now, Alistair. Alistair, first thing I'm going to do is ask you to just introduce yourselves for those that don't know you or don't know the company. Just tell us like the helicopter pitch of yourself and what your company does, etc.
Hi, I'm Alistair, Head of Product at Commercetools, and with Commercetools Composable Commerce, we deliver all the scalable platform components needed for you to deliver fantastic commerce experiences. And that's a wide range depending on the customer, allowing you to build a commerce setup that works for your model, your industry.
Perfect. Okay. So, as I said at the top there, they're long days, these Power of 50s, but they're really always great because there's always a great audience that are passionate about this exact area of focus. What I really want to find out from you is, let's start with the message that you wanted to come. What was the conversation you wanted to have, knowing that you were going to be speaking to a room full of industry experts in this sphere? And not just speaking at them, speaking with them. What was your thoughts when you were coming in? What was the message you wanted to get across to them?
So for me as a head of product, I'd say there is obviously a message I want to convey, but even more is actually what I want to hear back. So for me on the product side, I'm always keen to see how people are working, understand what their problems are. And yes, I want to then talk to them and share experiences from different customers about how they might have approached it, how they can take this huge problem and break it down into bite-sized chunks, deliver smaller iterations, deliver value, move on. But it was just fantastic listening to them talking to each other and having this exchange of ideas. Because some of these problems, I might have a solution to. But then when you talk to them, you kind of go, actually, you know what, I can iterate on my solution there and improve on that. And that's been really, really not just useful, but energizing to actually listen to others and kind of take their learnings as well as sharing mine. Yeah,
exactly. It is. And I know it's a very subtle difference, but I think the ability to talk with rather than at the industry is really vital. And it's why days like this are so successful, both for the delegates that we have and our partners as well. What was the learning then? To continue that, what was the one thing that you'd think, that's something I should be putting into practice with our organisation, or this is the one commonality that I'm seeing, the challenge that we can help overcome? What was kind of the key bits, the takeaways for you that you'll be going home and saying, right, this is something that we need to know about?
I think one of the big things that we are seeing, particularly at the moment, is there's a lot of focus on cost efficiency savings from people, and that's important. People need to keep the lights on, but it's also really interesting talking about, okay, where can we use those cost efficiency savings and at the same time use that to drive improvements for your customers, because at the end of the day you want to make those improvements and then you can gain further improvements and kind of cycle that money back in, but also be in a much better position as the market starts to pick up again to then take advantage of that. It's not just about, what your bottom line is right now, but also, when things start to pick up, are you providing the best service so then when people have more business to throw, they want to throw it at you and not your competitor?
Yeah, that's really interesting. That echoes some of the other conversations I've had today, where we're looking at, the phrase that I've referenced in the previous conversation was, we're no longer competing with our direct competitors only. We're now competing with everybody that's in our experiential way of doing things. And so that's one of the things, one of my real learnings from today. One thing I'm kind of trying to get the pacing on here, when we're talking e-commerce and we're talking B2B, how do you see the maturity levels? What was the maturity level in that room of how companies have been able to move forwards, because obviously we're still behind where the B2C world is. In some ways, we're almost able to leapfrog a little bit because we can make learnings from there. But you know, as somebody that knows this part of the economy and the ecosystem of manufacturing inside out, how would you say, we just starting to scratch the surface here, or are we starting to get a bit of traction and start to see a bit of momentum?
I'd say we're on the upward curve. We're still very much on the upward curve. Yes, there is a bit of a lag from B2C, but I think it's equally applicable, as you said, that a lot of those learnings we can take advantage of. We don't need to make the same mistakes. So I think we can move up that curve a lot quicker. I think it's also fair to say there was a broad range of people there, which is what made it particularly interesting. You had some people that had a system in for a while, and they could talk about, you know, what has changed since they put that in and what they've learned, and then other people who were very early in that stage. I'd say broadly, looking on average, it was a good mix, but most of them are, I'd say, halfway through their journey to having the standards nailed down. So what do I mean? They've got the first part, they've got the first footprint, and now they're starting to get feedback and kind of go, all right, we've done the base. What do we want to do to iterate on that and improve? And it's a very interesting time, because that's when really all that feedback starts flooding in, and you kind of think, okay, I did what was initially asked. What next? Where's the best opportunity for me to exploit?
I suppose one final question then, Alistair, on that, and just to continue on that, and also to bring your area of expertise in. I'd agree with that summary. I'd say a lot of companies have taken those first steps. They know, and this is true of multiple areas of digital transformation that we're seeing, not just in e-commerce, but also in the service side of the manufacturing and the aftermarket changes and dealer network communication. We're seeing the same kind of story over and over. And companies will make those first few steps because they know they have to, because if they don't, their competitors will, and they'll be left behind. But I think where there's real value in working with partners like yourselves, that at that point, it's like, okay, we've now got a roadmap that is really confusing. There are too many dots on the horizon. We don't know where we're going. Is that where you see the value for and is that quite often where you guys come in when you're talking to your customers or prospects coming to you? Is they've reached a certain point, it's like, now we need somebody to hold our hand, point us in the direction where the future is going, and help us make those more iterative steps in a more methodical way, I suppose?
To a degree, I'd say we do have a mixture. Many of the customers do come to us. We are like their second iteration of commerce, so they've taken one off the shelf kind of thing, and they've needed either more flexibility, or they've kind of said, well, this doesn't quite fit our model. We need a slightly different model. We have a lot of those. There are also some that are going, this is their first leap into digital native. I would say the commonality that we often see is they are people that are more open to thinking, what is not just the first thing I want to build, but how do I have that flexibility? Because if you think about what you might want to do for the next 5 years, you could have a huge project. But by the time you've delivered that 2 years of building for the next 5 years, what you need is changed. When was the last time we had 5 years where there wasn't change in kind of the e-commerce or even just general commerce? And it's much better to have a setup where you are geared up to say, let's get this up and running really quick, fast time to value, and then a platform where you can very quickly go, okay, the next thing, the next biggest opportunity, let's jump on that. Let's do that in 2-3 months, get that out there, and then focus on the next opportunity. And that's the thing where we really play a very strong part, and the same also with our partners that have that focus on the mindset of quick time to value, and then the ability to kind of add and iterate very fast.
Excellent. Well, listen, it's been great hearing you have the conversations. It's been a great day of discussions, and it's been a great last conversation to have you here. Thank you so much for sharing your time with the audience at home as well.
Thank you very much. It's been a fantastic day.
Cheers. Thank you.